Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man Andy Gillard here. Hope everyone's good in the world.
How are we doing, everybody? Matt Guy here. Hope everybody's having a fantastic end of January.
And it won't be the first when this goes up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, we've already broke the fourth wall because I tweeted about recording tonight. So there you go. That's how real we are on this podcast.
Well, there you go then. First of the month, rabbits.
Pinch punch first of the month.
No, rabbits.
Rabbits, what are you on about?
You say rabbits at the first of the month? That's a thing?
Is this another Victorian age stew thing?
No. It's Parry used to do it on TalkSport every single first day of the month he was on. He used to say rabbits as soon as he came on air.
Well, at least in the first 30 seconds of the pod, we've got the next poll. Is rabbits a thing?
Well, if it wasn't before, it is now.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. We'll see about that one. So this week we have got quite a bit of news to get through before we get into the main meat of the pod. So let's jump right in. Last time out during the QuestionCast, we had quite a bit of Tomb Raider chat, and it seems like the powers that be must have heard us, because Netflix have announced they are producing an anime series set after the recent Tomb Raider reboot game series. Yep, and also speaking of Tomb Raider, the sequel to the Alicia Vikander movie has been confirmed as being alive and kicking still. It's gone through a change, though, so it's no longer going to be Ben Wheatley directing. We're getting Misha Green. She's going to be writing and directing the film, and Misha is best known for Lovecraft Country. Now, Stu, I know you watched Lovecraft Country, so what should we be expecting from Misha Green?
Incredibleness. That's what I wondered why this was aimed at me in the running order, but I know there is planning in this as well. That now it was a lot of, so it's that kind of taking that on its own. It's very Lovecraftian and it's obviously, but very vivid, slow paced. You have to kind of give it a chance and concentrate. There ain't, but saying that, when there is action scenes in it, it's not shaky cam or any of that bollocks. It's really well done. I mean, I've talked about that for the last 6 months. I know how great that series is, and
yeah,
it's one of them things where you want to concentrate and not pay half attention to your phone and just scrolling for the sake of scrolling. You want to watch it, and if it's anywhere near that kind of quality, then I'm all in on this. This is superb news.
Excellent. Matt, are you much of a fan of anime?
I can't say I've really dipped my toe much into anime. It's always one of those things that I had a kind of artistic guilt about not being into, and like some of my friends will be into it and say, "Oh, there's this great anime," and I'd like come out and go, "Yeah, Ghost in the Shell's great," and that might not even be anime as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It's just never been something I've been into, but always felt like I've missed out. And it's like the Final Fantasy franchise, for example, a completely different tangent, but because I know they're different stories, but because I've only ever played the one, I feel like I don't know where to start. And that's how I feel about anime in a way. Like, there's that much out there. Am I ever going to scratch the surface of it and enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, I much like you, I feel like it's something I would probably enjoy if I looked at it, but I just don't know where to begin.
I'm sure there's plenty on Twitter that can lead us in the right direction, to be fair.
Absolutely. If you've got any recommendations for us where to start, please let us know.
I mean, if you look at the header on our Twitter account, you would 100% think that we watched anime between us.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I'm let's say big into it. I've watched a few things, and I've watched the Studio Ghibli stuff. If you want to start somewhere, start there. But like you've already mentioned, Ghost in the Shell and Akira, the obvious ones. But it's one of them things where when you get into it, you can get kind of obsessed. So it's why I've kind of kept it at arm's length as much as possible. So, and Al watches it. I mean, obviously, but she's a 16-year-old girl, so of course she will. But yeah, I know a few people who well into it, and it's their main thing. They are anime. and they draw anime, and they kind of live and breathe anime where we do for football. So it's one of them things where you can jump in and out of it, but beware because it can take hold very quickly.
I mean, I know they've done some Batman anime stuff, and as you both know, I'm massively into my Batman. And even that didn't really scratch the itch for me. I've seen the odd little bits of it. I think I've seen some Attack on Titan. I quite enjoyed it, but nothing's particularly grabbed me yet. I'm waiting for that one film to really sink its teeth in and not let me go, I think.
I know what you could try. If I think it's still on Netflix, Sword Art Online. That's
Okay.
that's a series, so that's pretty accessible. Give it 2 or 3 episodes. If you don't like it, then jump out. But
Yeah.
it's obviously it's based on games as well, and you got that kind of angle. So, but yeah, to answer the question that wasn't even a question to start with, yeah, that if you want to jump in and don't want to be overwhelmed, I'd give that a go.
Okay. Very cool. In other game film news, thanks to Entertainment Weekly, we have got our first images from the Mortal Kombat movie. The images don't really tell you much about it, to be perfectly honest, but the interview has indicated that the movie is going to be R-rated. So they're not appealing to the tween audience this time. And apparently we're going to be getting some of the iconic fatalities, which was sorely lacking in the original 2 films, and also some brutal hand-to-hand combat, according to the director. Did either of you two see the Mortal Kombat Rebirth or Legacy web series?
Yeah, I did, and I thought they're absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
Like they were just incredible. How like fans can put together something so detailed and so high budget. It would appear. It looked like it was just blew me away at the time.
Yeah, because I remember them saying back in, I think it was 2011 or 12 when they first came out, they were saying back then that the guy, Kevin Tankarian, I think his name is, that he was going to be lined up to make the next film.
Mm.
But that film never came about, and then all of a sudden we're a decade down the line, and this has seemingly come from nowhere. They haven't made much of a fuss about this film until now, and I think it's due out like late summer.
I think there's obviously there's always been a consistent appetite for the game series, and I just think that in the culture of we've got to get out as much content as possible. It's not really a gamble, I don't think, because there's always going to be people that want to go see kung fu / supernatural / gaming films. So I'm not surprised, to be honest, that now there's an appetite for it.
I mean, we even talked about it 2 weeks ago about the new characters like Rambo and RoboCop being in Mortal Kombat 11. So for this to be announced now, I mean, ironically, it's on. I'll go into it later because it's on what we've watched, but a film called Insert Coin that's about the studio Midway and Mortal Kombat and the original movie and how it came about, and that is all I've seen, that original movie. I never watched the series or anything like that. I've seen the shit film, but the best part about that film is the soundtrack.
Yeah, and even that was it was iconic, but not necessarily for the right reasons.
You mean you didn't have that as you in the old WAP days as you found polyphonic phone ringtone?
No, my polyphonic ringtone was The Exorcist.
Well, of course it was.
Yeah, obviously. In comic book movie news, we've had confirmation that Zack Snyder's Justice League isn't going to be split into a 4-part series. Yes. It's just going to be one 4-hour film. Personally, I think that's a good thing. I would very much want to see the film rather than splitting it into a TV show. I don't think a film is as easy to just cut there and that's the first episode. There is an art to making TV shows. Stu, were you happy that it's going to be a film and not a show?
This is how I was going to watch it anyway. I was never going to wait. Unless they released them all at once, I was never going to watch part 1 and then wait a week. Not with this. But the only thing is, it's 4 hours. And when was the last time you went 4 hours without having a piss? really,
Oh, it's not going to
at
happen.
that age. And
Well,
even
you're talking to people that watch pro wrestling events. This is this is an art form we have down to a T. So
God, yeah.
even in Lord of the Rings on the Blu-rays, well, for all of them, the DVD Blu-ray and the 4K Blu-ray, it's still split in half each film, the extended edition, because it's too big. But the journey continues on disc 2, and that's been the case for the last 10, 15 years. But it's an ideal piss break, and it's fine. So that's it's going to be one of them things where I think the last film that we went to see that was almost 3 hours long, I can't remember what it was, but I kind of don't drink all day. I have very minimal liquids just to train my body so that this isn't an issue and I have to get up. And to be fair, in a cinema, I've never missed a second.
oh man, I remember needing to piss so badly during the Force Awakens. And it was like towards the end. You know what's coming anyway, but like I was like literally, my leg was shaking, and I was in my seat, going like this. It was horrible, and I thought, I'm just gonna piss myself here because it's a full cinema. Do you know what I mean? I can't get up now, right at the very end, just before the big reveal. It was horrible, and I was literally just felt like oh god, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm drinking this pint of water, thinking the worst is going to happen.
So this week on the Twitter, we put out a poll asking people, would they rather binge or would they rather savour something? So when you're watching like the latest series, would you binge it in one go or would you rather go one a week? Now, Matt, I know that you're a big fan of The Boys as well. Season 1 dropped as a whole, from what I remember, and season 2, they broke it up a week.
Yeah.
Where are you falling on this poll? Are you in one or take your time?
The purist in me wants to watch it episodically, week by week, as it would have been on television, or it would have been easier to digest and appreciate. And I think the anticipation of having a once a week episode, you look forward to that time of the week that you get to watch it, and you build up a bit of, apprehension isn't the word, but excitement about it. But my heart wants to digest something that I enjoy so much. I just want to keep going and keep going and keep going. So, we've watched series 1 of The Mandalorian in like 3 days, and we're about a third of the way through series 2 now. And it's just, and because we just want to consume it as quickly as possible because we're enjoying it so much. But I think the purist in me wants to watch it episodically. That being said, American Gods Series 3 is out now, and I'm leaving it a few weeks so I could just have a binge like 3 episodes in a row.
Oh no, I'm enjoying American Gods, going one at a time, taking the time, sitting down and actually paying attention to it.
Yeah, and I probably should do that, to be fair, but I also know that I'm an incredibly impatient person, so I like having the option of having that there and available to me.
Stu, where do you fall on this?
I mean, where I fall on the poll now is, I think when I'm trying to think, what was the first one that did it? Really, was it one of was it Daredevil that started it all? Because it must have been a Netflix series of some kind, because it hadn't been possible before then.
Well, like releasing everything at once in one go.
Yeah, there would have been. It probably would have been older series that I would have binged prior to it. But I think that Daredevil's the first one that sticks out as just dropping in one go.
Yeah, because I think when that happened, and I mean, we've all done it with box sets anyway, because that's, well, why wouldn't you? But I think when it started, then it was like a race to, let's get it all done and then talk about it. But then it's the thing of, once it's over, then what are you going to do for the next 50 weeks, 51 weeks of your life? So I've kind of gone the other way now, and I'll say purist way, but like the situation we're in now, where I'll have an hour in the at lunchtime to do my thing when it's free from children and chaos. So I'll watch something, but I'll watch something of a series and then don't touch it again. Like at night, I'll keep it for like one per day, just for that reason. So I've got something to think about and savour it that way. But I think if it was one a week, like we're suffering with WandaVision now, something like that, I'd rather just watch it all and just get it out of the way. But if I'm enjoying it, then I want to savour it.
Yeah. I feel like if WandaVision was a bit more what we hoped it was going to be, I would have enjoyed the conversation between each episode. So WandaVision, I don't think is the greatest example for it. But The Mandalorian, I enjoyed that. We watched the episode,
Yeah.
we would have a conversation, and then next Saturday when I'm having my breakfast and watching the next episode, and then we have another conversation. I enjoyed that. But I was quite surprised to see. So the poll ended, it was 58% would rather binge a series than savour it.
I think
I
there's an element of sorry to interrupt you. An element of now because social media is so rife. There's a spoiler element, isn't there? And I think there's a fear that if you don't watch something as quickly as possible, it'll get ruined. So it's the Royal Rumble on Sunday. It used to be a massive thing, like where we'd go out on the piss and we'd watch the Royal Rumble and have a great time. Obviously, that can't happen now, and it's like if I don't watch it, it'll get spoilt for me. So it's kind of like, even though it's till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning on a Sunday when I got work the next day, I'll have to watch it, and it's kind of that same mentality. I don't want it spoiling for me because it used to mean so much. So I'm wondering if that's played a factor.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right.
I think that the middle ground is what they're doing now with releasing 2 or 3 episodes of series, and there's been like certain things which again have gone completely out.
All or nothing, didn't it? The Spurs.
Yeah,
the
that's
Spurs one on
yeah,
Prime.
that's what I'm thinking of. All or nothing. That you had two episodes a week, and the Jordan one as well.
Last Dance.
Yeah, the Last Dance. There was 2 or 3 a week, and that was much better because then you had the option. You could save it for have one per day if you want, or just watch them back to back. I think that doing it kind of halfway house like that's much better. I think that's probably the way to go, really.
It's the dream, isn't it? In further DC news, and now this is my dream, there are early reports that Batman the Animated Series is returning. So they're actually going to do a sequel to the original 1990 animated series. I don't know if it's going to follow on from like the Superman and Justice League animated series, but just going back into that Bruce Timm, Paul Dini world, I'm so excited. I feel like that was the first series where cartoons weren't just for kids anymore. Like it appealed to a much wider demographic.
When I think of like a show based on a comic book world, all I can think of is the X-Men animated series from when I was younger. That was like the first one I really remember, and then I just had a fascination with Gambit. He was like my favourite completely my favourite character of all time.
And the one character that's never been brought to screen since.
Oh, no.
But is it carrying on from that? Because didn't Batman Beyond series or mini film or whatever it was carry on from the original animated series?
Yeah, Batman Beyond is set like 60 odd years after.
Oh, so they could put it in between.
Yeah, so they could still fill it, yeah. In Marvel news this time, Charlie Cox is reportedly filming scenes for Spider-Man 3. So the Netflix universe is bleeding into the cinematic universe. That's good to see. And to be honest, of all the possible crossovers, this one really excites me. So, like, I proper geeked out because I tweeted Vincent D'Onofrio, Kingpin, asking, like, if you could take your character into another franchise, where would you want to go? And he actually replied saying Spider-Man would be the one, but obviously because it's Sony, it'll never happen.
Mm-hmm.
But now we might actually see that. We might actually see the Kingpin. And as you said before, Matt, about him being your favourite villain, could you just imagine the absolute simmering rage of Vincent D'Onofrio against the high-energy kid that is Spider-Man? I just think that'd be so exciting to see.
I think the scenes like would be absolutely what you want because he'd throw him around like an absolute rag doll, and it'd just be a visual spectacle. And I think it would work so well. There's so much they can do with it as well. So yeah, hopefully the powers that be will see that this is something worth exploring and do something along those lines. It'd be incredible.
Like the game,
Yeah.
Just put the game in film form.
That's what we want to see, and we want to get Miles in there as soon as possible as well. And the other thing happening in the MCU world, they are desperate to get Nicolas Cage back as Ghost Rider. We did mention this a few months back because it was rumoured that they wanted him for Doctor Strange and the Multiversal Mayhem. I don't know if they'll be looking at giving him his own film or if he'll be part of passing the Ghost Rider mantle on, but it'd just be nice to see him in there and hopefully doing a good version of Ghost Rider for a change.
But them two films are now canon. If this happens.
It's just like the use of the word desperate for Nicolas Cage to appear in is something in 2021 that is something that surprises me.
Well, they obviously haven't seen Jiu-Jitsu, have they? Bond has finally announced its release date. It is going to be released in October this year. And news has recently broken that they are filming new scenes for advertisements. Like, this film should have been out some point last year, like probably about 6-7 months ago. And it was pulled at the last minute because they weren't prepared to risk not making $1 billion. But they are prepared to risk bringing people back into work just to film some unnecessary scenes for a sponsorship deal. I think this absolutely stinks. I've got to be honest.
It's going to be... So I read the article and just giggled to myself because it's now gone. I mean, it should have been out last March. Then it was moved to October. Then it was moved to this April. And now it's been moved to October again. And the whole point is, I mean, it's a Sony film and it's going to be with Sony Xperia phones. That's what it is. Because they don't want the technology being out of date in a Bond spy film. So he's going to have the brand new latest Xperia 1.3, I presume, at that point. So yeah. It probably won't even be his hand. It'll just be they'll just film someone's hand just using that phone. But it's just get it fucking out. But it's pissing me off now. And
I think if they'd have released the film when it was intended to last October, they would have had quite a lot of goodwill. Obviously, things were struggling. People wanted something to look forward to and go to the cinema. Obviously, as soon as that was pulled, all of the cinemas just closed their doors. And now they're doing this. They're taking the piss. I feel like they've just eroded all of the goodwill that was there for them. It'll still make money because people are obsessed with Bond for some reason. But I do feel that the more casual viewer, someone like me, I'm not giving them any of my time or energy anymore. Fuck them.
I mean, it's like we said before, it was perfectly fine in the cinema. They did it really well. There was no issue. And like you just said, they caused the shutdown of all cinemas. Because it wasn't a directive at that point. It was they chose to do that themselves because of having no big films to put on, because they pulled the Bond movie. And you think, well, look what you've been responsible for. And just take one on the chin. You don't need the money, really. Everyone accepts that you're going to make a loss, and it's going to be rebooted again in 2 years anyway. So you got a better chance of making shitloads when you put. I mean, it's too late for Idris Elba now, but whoever you put in there, you're rebooting it again. Make money then. Just take it on the chin and just put it out.
Yeah, do something for the community a little bit, I think. But yeah, fuck them. Christopher Nolan is reportedly leaving Warner Brothers at the end of his contract. I presume this is in reaction to all of the films being put on same-day release on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Because I know he was one of the names who reportedly was not impressed with that decision. Personally, I think that most studios are probably going to end up going that way, and no matter what he does, I think he's going to have to bite the bullet and just accept that that's going to be the future. And you might not like it, but...
Well,
that's how it's going to be.
He's certainly not going to go indie art house, is he? Without like grand effects and stuff. So it's a case of, unfortunately, grit your teeth and bear it.
Yeah. And finally, the trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong has dropped.
Oh, yes.
The trailer looks batshit crazy, I've got to be honest. Now, I've not seen... The only Kong I've seen has been like the Peter Jackson film in the early aughts, and I don't think I've seen any Godzilla since watching the kaiju Japanese Gojira films. Like, it's just one that's never really grabbed me. So I need you both. I need you to sell me on this film. What do I need to see, and why do I need to see it?
Well, this is the fourth film of this universe, the Monsterverse, I suppose, with the Godzilla in 2014, Kong Skull Island in 2017, and then Godzilla King of Monsters in 2019. I haven't seen King of the Monsters, I will admit, but Godzilla and Kong Skull Island were, put it this way, if you enjoyed Peter Jackson's Godzilla for its like artistic interpretation and its heart and soul, you'll fucking hate these films. It's basically like Real Steel or Pacific Rim with monsters opposed to mechanics.
It's
they're steroid. It's Rampage the game actually done properly.
oh no, come on!
In this monster form.
The Rampage movie is great.
Yeah, I love that film.
But yeah, I was going to say it's Godzilla given the Transformers effect, and you will absolutely despise it. But at the same time, it's got Bryan Cranston in, so you can't hate it.
Okay.
It knows exactly what it is, though. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Kong Skull Island, there's no mystery. And I said this at the time when I saw the trailer. There's no mystery around it. There's no building up to the grand reveal. Like you see Kong in the trailer, like it's clear as day after about 5 seconds. It doesn't try to be a suspenseful mystery. It's a all out action steroid film. And that's absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with it.
Okay, you've sold it.
Actually, it's very much like it's in the same kind of spirit as the Jumanji films. It's a very very throwaway silliness. I mean, without the jokes, but there's not just Kong on Skull Island. There's obviously bigger. It's like a stop motion film from the 30s, 40s, but with proper CG effects. That's effectively what it is. They've brought it up to date, and now it's out, and it's mad.
I mean, in terms of its like gross, it's doubled, tripled its budget on nearly every one. Critically, they're pretty well received, apart from King of the Monsters, which took a bit of a hit like by the critics. So they're not actually bad films either in the eyes of the critics. So it's definitely worth a watch ahead of time. And the worst thing that you'll get out of this is that it's like a Saturday night popcorn film that you have a laugh about and then don't think about it again. It's the absolute worst it will be.
Well, that sounds perfectly acceptable to me. Maybe once I've got through some of the my Oscars list that I've already started drawing up.
You'll be doubling up for when this receives the gongs.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Matthew, have we had listener questions?
We certainly bloody have, mate. So let's go from the Twitter at first, because we've had some non-Twitter correspondence, which is incredible. Get them in.
Wow.
Get them in. Right, first of all...
How is this possible?
I know. Richard Hobbs wants to know, what was the last film or TV show that made you cry or get emotional? Stu?
I'm going to mention it later, so I'll just say it now. Band of Brothers. 20 years late, but yeah. Band of Brothers, the concentration camp scene.
Yeah,
episode.
Apt.
Just
very apt.
Just awful.
Right now. Andy, what about yourself?
I watched a short animated film on Netflix. I think it was just before Christmas, called "If Anything Happens, I Love You," and it's about following the death of a child in a school shooting. It's just beautifully observed. It's really, really well done. Silent animated short, 12 minutes long, but it really hit the mark. It was fantastic.
Excellent. Todd wants to know, what is a movie or TV show you put on when you're just not sure what to watch? For us, it's Community and the IT Crowd. I mean, it's no secret to anybody that knows me at all. Mine's Peep Show. What about you guys? What's your go-to when you've got nothing to watch, but you need to watch something?
I recycle through Scrubs, Community, It's Always Sunny. So I'll watch those three and like start to finish and then move on to the next.
Curb for me, I think. Just because I'm just it's the ones that I'm watching through like savouring. Almost like we were saying earlier about binging, things like that, where you could quite easily sit there for 7 hours and watch it all, watch 2 series worth. But no, it's 1 or 2 episodes of that, or South Park probably.
Fair enough. Fair enough. David Evans wants to know what standalone film deserves a sequel or prequel to expand the story, and what films were ruined once they were given a sequel, prequel. Let's leave Star Wars out of this.
I was talking to someone on Twitter earlier who mentioned Edgar Wright, and I know it probably won't happen, and especially not because it's Kevin Spacey. But I would love to have a prequel to Baby Driver to find out Baby's story on how he ended up in the employ of Kevin Spacey's character. I think that would be interesting.
Stu, is there anything that you can think of that was actually ruined once it was given a sequel or a prequel? It's been ruined, its legacy tarnished.
Independence
Star
Day.
Wars. Independence Day, good call.
Straight away, absolute shit. I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason why Sir Will turned it down. I mean, you know why? I mean, but on the other side, in a similar kind of vein, District 9. Why has that not had a sequel ever?
True.
Good point, yeah.
Well,
what about? Sorry, Matt. Sorry to interrupt. The Wolverine. Not the Wolverine. Wolverine. X-Men Origins Wolverine. The first one of that trilogy. That prequel. That was dog shit.
It was terrible, to be fair.
Sorry. Anyway, I interrupted you. Apologies.
No, not at all. I just think I liked it, but I know it was panned quite a bit. Anything post Predator 2, anything that the Predators appeared in has been pretty much panned one way or the other. So from a legacy point of view, I think that doesn't help it really. One of our new followers and hopefully listeners, Gaz Robert, would like to know more about Masters of the Universe. Putting that out there.
Golf.
And this has got to be one of my favourite questions now from a new listener that we've poached from Wolves Fancast because I'd swooped in on their tweet and asked him to ask it on this. So Vinny, WWFC, wants to know, this is absolutely good. This is why we do this podcast for questions like this. If Buzz Lightyear thought he wasn't a toy, then why did he never speak when humans were around?
That's a good question, isn't it? I have no answer because, it doesn't make any sense. He absolutely should, and they all should. All of the Buzz Lightyears.
Exactly.
And they should have had a breakdown when they met their doppelganger, when they were all in the toy store in number 2.
Maybe
holes.
This is why they're making a Disney Plus series.
To answer this specific question.
Yeah, on the actual real Buzz Lightyear. What if this new... Is it a series or is it a standalone film for Disney Plus? I can't remember.
Can't remember.
The one it's got Chris. Is it Chris Evans voicing him?
Chris Evans is going to be, yeah.
What if the whole point of this series film is the fact that it's like a Land of the Giants kind of soft reboot, and he lands on a planet with massive people, and so he automatically goes stiff and can't speak, and that's why the toys don't do it either.
Tenuous at best, Stu, but I like your thinking there.
I'll take that one, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a couple of other ones to go through. So first of all, a daft question series 2 has started now. Our friends over there, so listen to them if you haven't already. They mentioned on the back of our question about Demolition Man and basically the 3 seashells. How would you use them? So for anyone that hasn't seen it, in Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone comes across these newfangled technology of the toilet where there essentially are 3 seashells on the side and he doesn't know how to use them. And was a mystery post the film up until 2006 where it was explained what to actually do. But what would you do if you only had 3 seashells to do your business?
I mean, I think let's just put it out there. It wouldn't be the first time I've come across some seashells. That's a different story altogether. You just had to. You got to go with the flow, I suppose, wouldn't you? But I can't. It's been so long since I saw it. I can't remember exactly how they're positioned. But if there's 3 of them, you'd think it'd be some kind of like a spread eagle runway. Just to like the first one gets the big hit, and then the second one kind of not so much, and then the third one's kind of like any excess on the cheeks, and then you're okay. But
Okay, interesting.
if they're self-cleaning or not, that's a different thing altogether.
But you'd probably need to like run them under the tap afterwards, I'd imagine, rather than just having some shitty shells hanging around. But I think you'd have to use like the cup side to like scrape any excess detritus, and then maybe use the soft side just to like clean it all up. I'm guessing.
And the
Well-
big, so the big question: are you sitting or standing while you're doing it?
To answer that question, tweet WWFC Fancast. The answer.
They want to know the answer.
Yeah, they need to know the answer. Well, Sylvester Stallone in a 2006 interview was told by a writer, this is verbatim quote, "You hold 2 seashells like chopsticks, pull gently and scrape what's left with the third." So take that as you will. See, I always assumed the whole like the seashell thing was actually like they make you think for a joke that like you use a seashell, but under it it's just very miniature toilet rolls and soap, just under the seashells.
Yeah,
Like they're just upside down containers, like soap containers, like soap dishes. But there we go. Another question on the email. So we do like a question via email from our very new friend Tara Court. She wants to know. If you had to be a supernatural creature, what would you be and why? She'd be a zombie because essentially it's the lazy person's choice. You don't have to make an effort with your clothes and you can just slow mooch to the next brain to eat. What's not to love? But if you could be a supernatural character, what would it be?
I think I'd go for a vampire. Like they stay young and beautiful forever. So yeah, that'd be more fun, surely. And just think of all the films you could watch because you would be alive forever. It'd be great.
True.
Yeah, that's too easy. You just stolen it all there.
I'm surprised, Stu, that you haven't said the Invisible Man, knowing you.
Well, it doesn't need to be said, does it? Really? I mean, is that supernatural? Is that supernatural or is it sciencey? For argument's sake, then yeah, okay, Invisible Man, because you could do what you want, couldn't you? So yeah, we'll go with that.
See, I want to go down like the vampire route, not because of like staying young and sexy, but I go to all those kind of nightclubs that you see that vampires go to anyway. So it just means I wouldn't have to change like my musical habits. I just like you might just get a little sexier, maybe. I don't know.
The best nightclub in the whole world in Blade.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always the same, isn't it? Like there's never a film where they go to a degenerate like party or whatever, and it's never not rock music and goths. It's like the same in Crow City of Angels, where like Iggy Pop's like in the club, and it's like just some mad sex orgy to like Rammstein or something like that. It's always the same. It's never like they go to like a Tory Eton party where it's like classical music or anything like that. It's always like just heavy metal and industrial music.
I mean, can you imagine if you're watching Twilight and then they're going to... I've never seen these films, obviously, because I'm not silly. But if you're watching Twilight and then they enter a room and you got Don't Stop, Never Give Up by S Club 7 in the background, it changes the tone of the film slightly.
I suppose it would. And one final question now. Basically, Katie Clark wants to know, who would you like to play you in the film of your life? So for me, it would have to be one of 2 slightly portly gentlemen with beards. It would either be Jack Black or Zach Galifianakis as Alan in The Hangover Part 2.
Okay. Yeah, I think like Jack Black would be a good call, but like I've always been a big fan of Zach Braff. Like he's just one of my favourites. There's something about him and his work that I've just always identified with the characters he's played.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me it would probably be Zach Braff.
Stu, what about yourself? It's Vin Diesel.
Well, when I did them face-up things, Vin Diesel and the Staith looked exactly like me, so and that's the obvious choice. But if I was going back to...
That's the obvious choice.
I mean, if I was going back to my younger days and when I did actually have a lookalike in Enrique Iglesias, so...
Of course.
And that would be my choice, but then he'd have to shave his head and that would be a shame for everyone, so... If you're being sensible, yeah, it'll be the Staith.
Not
interesting you say that, Stu, Because, Matt, did you know that Stuart Kimberly Hall once told a girl, in all seriousness, that he looks like Enrique Iglesias?
Oh, is this a
This
legitimate?
girl,
Oh,
this
dear.
is a legitimate story. He said this with no sense of irony. She laughed so hard that she fell over a wall and that she didn't come to school for the next fortnight. The next time they saw her, she had a bout of Bell's palsy because she'd been laughing so hard at
Oh
Stu.
She
my
didn't have
God.
Bell's palsy. He's embellished this story again. She did. It's true that she didn't come to school for 2 weeks. That bit's true. She didn't have Bell's palsy. But yeah, I can't remember who that even was.
You
But
said you made a girl basically do a good old JR Jim Ross. Like, what is it? That's incredible.
You know-
Isn't it? Stu, what else can you do with your dashing good looks, Stu? I'm afraid of being on this call with you much longer.
I mean, I'm trying to think what kind of hair I had at the time. So I mean, it would have been short before it was dyed blonde again for the second time, probably. But it was when Hero came out, and I can't remember why. I think
I'm looking at a picture of Enrique Iglesias now.
You
know what? You know what the next poll's going to be, right? What's the name of? Right, we're going to put two pictures. We're going to put three pictures up. One of Stu, one of Enrique Iglesias, and then who's the character in the League of Gentlemen that is like the German one that leads the band?
Lip.
Lip. I'm missing which ones people think Stu looks more like.
To get this fair, I've got to have to find a picture from me from about 16, 17. So when this was taken, this was first mentioned because it was when I was trying. I wondered if I could sing as well, so I did kind of record myself on dictaphone singing "Hero" to myself.
Oh my God, I'd love to hear that.
Oh, good God!
And you wonder why I don't lose my virginity till 17. But we can. We're on this tact. The Marshmallow Gate rumbles on, and I have actually had marshmallow before, but it was in a chocolate fountain, and I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
It was already on. It was already on a skewer. So when you had that picture, you showed us a picture of what marshmallows actually look like. I've never had them, but I've had them on a stick with chocolate over the top. So I was fooled. I didn't know what they were.
You were hornswoggled into it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for the questions this week. Really appreciate your input, guys. There's loads of really good questions. Keep them coming. Get them on the email as well. But tell your friends if they have a question that they want answering or they want something, to get involved with the show. Let them know. Get them listening in, and we'll answer the questions and try and have a bit of fun with anything you want to know.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Matt. So, first question this week: what have you been watching recently, Stu?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it briefly just that I'd watched this. I'd caught up with Band of Brothers, and obviously everyone loves that. And rightly so. Incredible series. But yeah, the other one, Insert Coin. It's a documentary about Midway. And it's basically it's an hour and 40 minutes, I think, something like that. And like all game documentaries, you've got people who were involved in the company's foundation, the formation and stuff like that. But it's I never really played Midway games. Thinking about like things like Cruising USA on the N64 and stuff like that. And other than the violent ones, it goes into where they got the film license came out and how they got the license for Terminator 2 and their best-selling game of all time. It's basically a coin-op era, which we never really had arcades of that kind here, did we? So it's kind of like he's looking into a different world. So, and they've even got footage of him with Linda Hamilton's sister doing motion capture for it, and Robert Patrick obviously was fully involved. He did all his own motion capture and his own acting for free, just because he wanted to make the game. But yeah, that was really fascinating. And the other one, which came out this week, I think it was this week, over in England, it's gonna be shown in America as well on HBO Max, like everything else is. That's It's a Sin on Channel 4. And have you watched it yet?
Not yet. No.
I haven't seen it, but I know that Channel 4 or E4 are pushing it really hard at the minute. Every time, like I'm watching the channel, it's advertised.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it's a 5-part series by the guy who came up with Queer as Folk, about five main characters, 5 main gay men in the 80s at the height of the AIDS the pandemic and stuff like that. And it's obviously a world that we were all way too young to realise what was going on. And even knowing what happened, watching it back like this, and it's kind of semi-autobiographical as well, because Russell T Davies said it's about his friend and it's her stories, and that woman is actually in it as well. She is an actor and she's made a brief cameo. But again, it's like how you can kind of see how gay people have been treated so horrifically since then, about all the propaganda about AIDS being, it's a gay disease and dirty and all that stuff. It's properly powerful, and 40, 50 minutes. And obviously, if you don't want to watch guys together, then fine. Obviously, don't watch it because there is a lot of that going on. But it is Channel 4, and there's nothing explicit, but it's just really, really powerful and really, really superb.
Brilliant. Where can I find the Midway documentaries that are available to stream as well?
It's available through means. It's not on the usual platforms, but I think it's on Amazon on Prime to buy.
Okay. So either on Amazon to buy, or you need to hang around with some pirates.
Yeah.
Matt, what have you been watching?
So as I mentioned earlier, powered through Mandalorian Series 1. Sensational so far. Really enjoyed it. I'm on Series 2 now. Just finished the episode with the spiders, basically, all the spider-like creatures. The group chat was alive, though, with one overwhelming criticism that I had about The Mandalorian, if you remember, which was related to the fact that Baby Yoda cries like a baby, like an actual physical human baby, which is just absolutely bizarre to me.
Nothing else about giant spiders, aliens with eggs in tubs, and that's all fine. But
that's all within the realms of possibility. But the fact that Yoda cries like an actual human child really annoys me. What I would say though, and I've heard some interest. So I haven't seen WandaVision, but what I understand is that episodically it's very much the same mini stories condensed into half an hour-ish episodes that don't necessarily are wildly different from each other, and it's held together by a very loose plot to keep it all bumbling along. But it's okay for The Mandalorian, but it's not okay for WandaVision. Is that right, Andy? Because I know you've seen a few episodes.
Sort of. I would say the quality of The Mandalorian's episodes is considerably higher than the first 2 that we've seen of WandaVision. The third one, I think, is a bit different. They seem to be the first 2 were. The first one was like I Love Lucy. The second one was like Bewitched, and the third one was set like a 70s sitcom. I can't remember which one it's like loosely based on. So they have their own feel to them. My issue with the first 2 especially was that they didn't have any subtext. It was just a sort of straight comedy that wasn't particularly funny, that went nowhere, didn't give you any indication on what was actually going on. It just felt like it was treading water. I think if it was in a film, that scene would be 5 minutes. Like they wouldn't have stretched it out. But the third episode, there is a hell of a lot more subtext to it, and it all intimates to this much bigger plot that is going on at the moment.
Okay.
So I do think the third episode shows a lot of promise.
Okay, fair enough.
The first 2 were just pulling teeth, though.
Go on, sorry, Stu.
And the problem with it is it's pointless. So they have got the same kind of how do you say, like build of show, where you have got a small thread throughout it, and the small thread is the most exciting part about WandaVision, but it's only 5 minutes out of hour and a half so far, the actual stuff in whatever is going on in the VR or in the alternative reality or whatever it is. It's just like Andy said, it's a comedy that's not funny because it doesn't matter, and none of it matters. And that was, I mean, waiting for him to watch it and get enraged is like the highlight of the week. But but they've got the same kind of build of show, but they're nowhere near the same.
Okay. A quick heads up as well for a game I'm playing at the moment. So on our other podcast, Wolves Fancast, I've recently released the episode about mental health, and I'm playing a game at the moment called Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which is about a like Nordic warrior, female warrior who suffers from psychosis. So it's I said to Stu, and Stu had already played it, who I know is very much an audiophile. I said audiophile. And honestly, it's got to be one of the most impressive audio feats in a game I've ever played. Like I've got a pretty good surround sound in my living room where I play, and the noise coming from around that was incredible. I put my headphones in and played it, and it says to play with headphones in to get the best out of the sound of it. And again, one thing that I'm seeing more and more of now, which is excellent, it says as you load up the game for the to start, we've spoken to mental health charities and people who are suffering from psychosis to make sure this is an accurate representation and not to demean like the condition. And I just think it's been excellent so far. It's paced really nicely, and it's very very absorbing. It's really really like overwhelming at times when all these voices are going on and the lighting is like really dark and you're bumbling around. It's just an excellent game. It's on Game Pass as well for anyone that's got Game Pass, so it's not going to cost you a penny to play.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass on Xbox, but it is on PS4 and PS5 for about 15 to 25 quid, depending on if you get it in a sale or not, which I got it in a sale about 3-4 years ago. And yeah, I'm going to play it again on Xbox just to hear it with Dolby headphone, because I played it with normal surround sound headphones when I played it the first time around on PS4, but it has got to be said, the Dolby headphone feature on Xbox, I presume it's on Xbox One as well, but on the Series S especially, it's incredible.
So for myself, I've been watching a few horrors or so in the last few weeks. I watched a film called Spree, which is available on Netflix. It's starring Joe Keery, who plays Steve in Stranger Things.
Oh, nice.
He plays basically an Uber driver. He's obsessed with social media and gaining followers, and he thinks the best way to gain followers is to go on a murder spree, hence the title, Spree. It's like funny, and then it gets to the point where you think, actually, this isn't funny, this is just disturbing. It's not like the best rated film you'll see, but I thought it had a really interesting message about don't put everything in social media. It's not the be all and end all, which also ties in with your mental health podcast last time, with it being quite heavy on the old social media.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I also watched Freaky, which is the Blumhouse film. So it's from the guys who did Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You. It's the film where Vince Vaughn is a serial killer and he trades places with a teenage girl that he's trying to murder. So it's Freaky, as in Freaky Friday. I know I've stated on here I'm not a big Vince Vaughn fan, but actually he was quite funny in this, I've got to say. I thought he did very well pretending to be a serial killer who was also a 16, 17-year-old girl. I thought he did a decent job. It was funny enough, but I wouldn't say it was scary enough. I prefer Happy Death Day, the first one, because I think that got the balance just right for my tastes. I watched a film on our favourite Shudder called Yummy, and it is set in a plastic surgery hospital, effectively. It's a Flemish-Dutch film, so parts of it are in Flemish-Dutch, parts of it are in English. Some of the characters sound like Borat, which is a little bit weird. And basically, whilst this woman is going to have a breast reduction, somehow a zombie gets loose in the hospital and all shit breaks loose. It's really funny in parts. It's not massively scary. There's some really gory bits. but there's one bit where there's this gynecologist and he turns into a zombie whilst he's checking a woman. And it just gives a whole new meaning to eating out. And the other film I wanted to mention is one called Promising Young Woman. This is due to be released on, I think it's due to be released in the cinemas on the 14th of February, but obviously things may change. It is available on VOD. There are high hopes for this Promising Young Woman. It is been touted for several Oscars for Best Female Performance, Director, Film, Screenplay. Like, it's really well done. The basic premise of a story, which I don't want to give too much away. Carey Mulligan plays a character whose friend was raped when they were at college, and this rape basically destroys her friend. So Carey Mulligan goes on a revenge mission, and the whole film is about her getting revenge for her friend. She was a promising young woman in medical school and gave up her life to look after a friend. It subverts the genre of revenge films, and it's like really thickly, darkly comic in parts as well. So it also subverts like the romantic comedy genre. It's excellent. If this isn't in my films of 2021, then I think we're in for a very good year. I loved it. So the next question this week is yours, Stu.
Yeah, so kind of lighten the mood a bit, especially after that. I don't know, what's your favourite film that features a chicken? Matthew.
Thanks, Stu. There's only one film, so I'm sorry if it ruins it for you guys. That it's synonymous. So I'm glad you've made me go first here. It's got to be Rocky 2. Chase that chicken. Basically, as part of his rematch with Apollo Creed, he's got to basically get into shape, and Mickey has him chasing a chicken. It's just iconic, really. It's the first thing that came to mind straight away. I did have a backup. I won't mention the backup in case, because you guys have got it. Because if you haven't got this as the backup or your one, you're getting very specific. So no, it had to be Rocky 2 is the first thing that come to mind. I love those series of films. Even the fifth one, which is a bit pants, is still decent. And the original 5 are on Amazon Prime now for anybody that has it. So if you haven't seen it before, if it's ever just escaped you, one of those franchises that's just escaped you, get on it. You'll enjoy it.
Just as a side question, which is your favourite Rocky?
3.
3's mine as well. Clubber Lang.
I think.
Yeah.
So you know how we had this debate about what's a film and what's a movie? Rocky 2 is the best film in the series. Rocky 3 is the best movie.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. My answer to the original question, sorry for the tangent, I had one film that I was just dead set on until about 20 minutes before this podcast, and it's just completely changed my answer. Or has it? Yeah, it has. Okay, my film is The Muppets Christmas Carol. I fucking love that film. It is incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, I could have easily said The Muppets, the Jason Segel film from the early 2010s. Like, I love The Muppets. They're just brilliant. But The Muppets Christmas Carol is one of those films that, even though it's a Christmas film, I could happily sit down and watch it any time in the year. I just think it's fantastic. So that was my choice for that question. I've got 3. I've got 2 other mentions, which I will do after Stu. The third one was going to be Rocky, obviously.
Yeah, I thought the obvious one would have been Hot Shots Part 2, which was the just because it's just. Is it even on the cover of the box as well?
I think it is. Yeah.
When he's shooting a chicken instead of an arrow. I mean, what else you need? But yeah, mine was Hi from Moana. The special chicken that kind of doesn't know what it's doing. It eats rocks. And that's kind of where I came from. So I thought there can't be many films with chickens in, and then I looked and there's actually a shitload. I mean, you even got Gyro from DuckTales, the inventor.
Of course, yeah.
Chicken.
Yeah.
So, what were your honourable mentions?
Yeah. My honourable mentions were going to be Hot Shots Part 2, Rocky, and Moana. Moana was the one which was going to be the film until I realised that the chicken's obviously in the Muppets.
So my honourable mention was The Hangover, because when they wake up in the hotel room, there's chickens around, and it was revealed like in the DVD afterwards, the gang bought a chicken to feed the tiger, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. When I first heard this was going to be the question, I was like, "Fucking hell, how am I going to get something funny out of this?" But then, like, actually, there's more than you think that I've got chickens in. I was very close to saying Nacho Libre, but then I thought like, its use of chickens is very, very vague, so didn't make the cut.
You even got Chicken Run, if you want it to be literal.
I've never seen it.
What?
No.
It's great. It's literally The Great Escape, but Wallace and Gromit sized.
Is it done by Aardman Studios?
Yeah, it's an Aardman.
Okay.
It's a proper Aardman film.
I do like Aardman stuff, to be fair. So I was a bit reticent to watch it, but yeah, I'll put that on the list. Chicken Run, cool. So my question then. We had a conversation the other day about Dead Man's Shoes, and then on the weekend I watched Little Shop of Horrors, which I think was the first musical I'd ever seen. And that's what got me into that whole genre. So what I wanted to know, what is the film that you wish that you could watch again for the first time? Stu?
I mean, there's two kind of trains of thought from this, because I've got two where it's just because I love them so much, and remembering how I felt at the time of watching them, just the kind of the absolute awe, and that's Jurassic Park and Lord of the Rings. Just for that, but my actual answer, because it's never the same once you've watched it, is The Usual Suspects. Just
Okay.
just for that, and there's obviously Sixth Sense and all that kind of. You don't want to, once you know, and you can never get that back. And
the Lucky Slevin effect.
Yeah.
Number 7, yeah.
And I've probably only seen The Usual Suspects about 5 times in my entire life, even though I bought it on one of the early DVD buys that I went straight away as soon as it came out. Yeah, I love this film. And then you watch it and you think, well, you kind of know the end, so it's not the same. And we all know how shit I am with knowing the end of things anyway. So even giving it a bit of time, it's never going to be the same again. So for that reason, that's what my answer would be. Films like that.
Legitimately, I figured that film out within about 10 minutes.
Of course you did.
I hated it. I don't like Bryan Singer as a director, to be perfectly honest. But I think my problem is I had seen Primal Fear with Ed Norton and the guy from Pretty Woman, Richard Gere. And in that, it has a very similar twist to the effect that it's a disabled person who has this alternate personality. And I text my mate within 10 minutes. I'm like, he's the bad guy, isn't he? And it just ruined the film the whole way through. So, but yeah, I'll get you, because there is that putting the toothpaste back in the tube sort of feel to those kind of films, that you're never going to get the same experience again once you know the twist.
Yeah, like Last Christmas.
If that's all the film has got, like Last Christmas, yeah. If that's all the film has got going for it, then is it really that good a film in the first place, I suppose? Matt, what are you thinking?
I've got 2 similar trains of thought, really, to Stu. One film that blew me away in the cinema, not because of visual special effects or anything like that, but not knowing how to feel afterwards. And I'd like to be able to experience that again out of pure morbid curiosity, and that will be Four Lions.
Great film.
Honestly, that film had me pulling to and fro. Laughter, shock, sadness, grief. It had everything, that film. It's massively underrated as an emotional piece. It's just a black comedy to some, but it's got chops in it. It's got heart, and it's got soul. That film has. And I remember seeing it with Tom Kearney, who regularly interacts with the show. And I just sat stunned in the cinema after watching it. I didn't know how to feel for ages. Like, I was just like, should I be laughing? Should I be really sad? Like, I'd like to get that feeling back, just to know how I felt again, because it was incredible when I saw it. and for the other one, it would just be to get a memory back more than a twist. So me and my mum used to go through this habit of seeing like films. We'd see the Saw films every year, oddly, but we also saw Insidious at the cinema, and my mum, it doesn't take a lot to scare her at all, and she was like shouting and like it making a right racket in the cinema, but it just brings back like really fond memories. Like it was really fun at the same time, and I'd like to have that back and so see that film again, because now I know it's coming in Insidious. It's nowhere near as scary as the first time I saw it. It's enjoyable, but I'd like to be scared by that film and have that memory back again.
That's good. Similar to yourselves, I've sort of like I had a few different trains of thought on how to approach the question. So the film that stunned me into just silence was Inception. Like I was properly like the whole film is mind bending, and I don't think I've seen anything before or after that does the sort of work on screen that film does. It's very much one on its own. Even I mean, Tenet's fantastic. Stu, not for Matt, obviously. But even that, I don't think hits the heights of Inception visually. So yeah, Inception's one I'd love to experience again, just for that moment of just not having a fucking clue but loving it. There's a film I really want to give a second chance because I feel like I would love it, but for some reason I don't, and that's Jackie Brown.
Ooh.
I saw it when I was maybe 15 or 16. I went to the cinema. It was one of the first films I saw, like an 18 when I was underage at the cinema. And I don't think I appreciated it. Whereas if I watched it now, I think it would be one of my favourite films. So I'd like to be able to just go back in with fresh eyes and not have that preconception with watching it. Because even when I watch it now, I still think, oh, I didn't like this back then. So I'd like to be able to just see it with fresh eyes for that reason.
That's fair.
It was a 15, so it was 97.
Oh, was it a 15?
Yeah, so it was 13.
Okay.
I mean, you might have been about 18 at that point. I don't know, but I haven't seen it since I watched it in the cinema. It was the same thing. Because I was tall and looking like Enrique, we got in easy, so it was a problem. But I haven't seen it since. So
no, I think we need to rewatch that one. And the other one, it was a film I went in with absolutely zero hopes of seeing it. Basically, I went because my friend wanted to go and she wouldn't want to go on her own, so I'll come with you. And it ended up being an almost perfect film, School of Rock. Like, I had no hopes, and it was just brilliant. And even to this day, I love seeing it. But it would be so nice just to have my hopes completely smashed, because it is so good.
I thought you were going to say Titanic then.
Nah, it's not a good film. Although it might be better than I remember Titanic. I think it might have a bit of the Jackie Brown that I didn't appreciate it at the time, but it might not be as bad viewing it now. I don't know. I just don't want to find out either with Titanic. That's the only problem.
3 hours gone.
Yeah, it is too much. So, Matthew, if you'd like to finish us off with your question.
Certainly will, my friend. Basically, quite simply, I want to know. Also, in the after the conversation about Dead Man's Shoes, really, what is your favourite revenge movie / film? Andy Gillard.
Oh, I've got 10 written down.
Whoa there.
Well, technically, I've got 11 because one of them's a two-parter, and I genuinely don't know which one to pick. Right. Matt, I think I know what yours is going to be. I've got 3 down for you. Stu, I don't know.
You don't know what mine's going to be, my friend.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Right, the film I'm going to go for is Mean Girls. I love Mean Girls. I think it's such an underrated, great comedy at a time where Lindsay Lohan was a genuine star. I don't know what the fuck happened to her after that because her
Drugs.
career just... Well, yeah, that's the issue. Drugs and horrendous parenting. No fucking way. Have I really stolen yours? It is just... It's just a great film. And it's one, again, I went to with absolutely no hopes of enjoying anything about it. I watched it because it was on a list of like films of 2004 or whenever it was released. and I've ended up absolutely adoring this film. Sorry, Matt. I
No,
feel awful.
it was my joke answer before the meat of my answer. To be fair, Stu, what about you?
There's only one really, John Wick. I mean, if he can just about tolerate his wife being killed, but when they fuck with his dog, that's the end of the world.
That's a line that crossed.
That's beyond the pale.
Yeah, it's just incredible. Just like all three of them really, and I only watched them just probably middle of last summer. I watched all three of them again, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. But yeah, they were just amazing. For I mean, was it Gung Fu or something? They kind of called it after after the Matrix, and the gun work in this is better than the Matrix easily. And what more of a revenge pot do you need other than a man's dog is killed after, and that's what tips him over the edge.
So I'm going to give mine, and then Stu, I want between us. We want to guess the rest of Andy's list.
Well, I had three, so I know one of them is definitely going to be on there.
Okay. Well, I had a special mention to one that is criminally underrated, I think, as a film, and that's Harry Brown with Michael Caine. Was that on yours, Stu?
I'd get Carter / Harry Brown.
Yeah, just a really great performance from this old man that just wants to be left alone, but he has to take vengeance on his elderly neighbour that basically. Does he get killed, or does he have a heart attack on the back of I think he does get killed, doesn't he?
Don't ruin it for people.
No, the neighbour, that starts it off. So I've got two legitimate answers. The first of all being like a comedy film in Horrible Bosses. In that it is a revenge of sorts that doesn't actually kind of go the way you want it to, but I just think it's an excellent, funny film. Weird now, because can you ever watch anything with Kevin Spacey in without being a little bit put off?
It's tough, isn't it?
And also he uses the Americanism of the word twat, and he says twat, which I always find really strange. It just doesn't work. But my legitimate answer is V for Vendetta, the film, because basically it's everything that you want from a revenge. There's a legitimate plot there. It's killing off people one by one in creative ways, and it's got Natalie Portman in. So for that reason, it's my favourite revenge film.
And you have a mask of it.
And I have a mask of it, yeah, exactly. And the graphic novel is excellent as well. I think it's one of the first graphic novels I ever had. And I'm sure now I've got, you know how people who collect Pokemon cards or people who collect special coins or anything like that will get really rare ones, but they're worth loads more. I've got a misprinted V for Vendetta, and I don't know now if it's actually worth loads. Like the first page is completely translucent, so you can just about see the print on it. And I'm wondering if that's some special edition.
Is it the graphic novel or is it the individual comic book?
The graphic novel.
Probably not.
No, thanks, mate.
Sorry. If it was the comic book, maybe I would need to have a look at it for you, but graphic novel, probably not.
Now I've got a very, very quick sidebar. Number one, I've got the Goblet of Fire first edition, which I'm very pleased to have, but I also have a first edition hardback of William Regal's Walking a Golden Mile. So if anybody out there knows William Regal, because he was born in Codsall, get him in touch so I can get my book signed. And if it's ever worth anything, I'll have to give Compton Care in Wombourne a donation because I got it for 50p.
So I'm pleased to say, Matt, V for Vendetta was the second film I had down for you.
Right. Let's guess then. Let's guess what. So we know that the one is obviously Kill Bill Part 1 and 2 because he kind of gave that away.
Yeah. Old Boy.
Nope.
Oh, interesting.
Ex Machina.
Yes.
Yes.
Ex Machina is a brilliant film. Really enjoyed that. Oscar Isaac, Donald Gleason, Alicia Vikander. Fucking great movie.
Because you're a bearded hipster, I don't think you'd have had Gladiator, but have you had Gladiator on there? No,
Nah,
I didn't think you would have. Silly question.
There's going to be like 5 films that no one's heard of apart from him.
Oh, you will definitely have heard of all these.
Machete.
Matt? No, it isn't. I forgot about Machete, to be fair.
Machete.
Matt, if you think of a hobby we have in common.
Oh.
Actually, I'll be more specific. A film starring a wrestler.
Film starring?
The Wrestler?
Mm-hmm.
The Wrestler?
No, a wrestler.
Oh, a wrestler. So is it...
The greatest sportsman who's ever lived. The most electrifying one.
Okay, so what film has The Rock been in that's a revenge movie?
He was in a film with Johnny Knoxville way back.
Hold on, it's not the one. No, it's not. No, he doesn't play the. It's not the Olympic one, is it? No. Oh fuck, what's it called? I know this. Put me out of my misery. What is it?
Walking Tall.
Walking bloody tall. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Is anything else? Is anything? Give us a clue.
Right. Okay. I've got one by QT. Another one by Quentin Tarantino, I should say.
Django Unchained.
No.
Oh.
No.
Inglourious. Yeah.
Inglourious Bastards. I prefer Inglourious Bastards. I think the end of Django, it goes on for about 40 minutes too long.
Yeah,
good film, but the end kills it. I've got another film by one of my all-time favourite directors, Christopher Nolan.
Prestige. Oh, Memento.
Yes.
I was going to say.
I've got both of those films.
Memento as well.
I've got Prestige and Memento.
Although does Memento count if you have not got the tattoo of it?
That is very true. Yeah, I think Memento is like just one hell of a way to introduce yourself to Christopher Nolan's work. That tells you all you need to know about the majesty that is that man. The other one you mentioned in your intro to it, Matt.
Oh, in Dead Man's Shoes.
Yeah,
just tremendous, isn't it? It's so like I watched it the other day. Christ, that film is bleak. Like it could not be a revenge film. It could have a completely different plot, but the way it's set and the way that like it encapsulates little village England is like, it's bleak as fuck, to be fair. Like it could just be like a moody like Channel 4 show about like teenagers growing up somewhere, but just the way it's set. Oh yeah, I needed like something happy and sanitized to watch afterwards.
I can't believe Price watched that after a defeat.
Oh, you don't need it here.
Because I did the same thing. I'll watch it again as well because it had been a long time since I'd seen it, and I just couldn't get over the fact that he was wearing poppers. I mean, I must have been the only person in the entire country at that time who didn't own a pair of them Adidas poppers.
No,
trousers.
I never had poppers either, Stu.
Because you just used to go up to people and just pull them open. I mean, why? Why would you have trousers like that for?
No. Dead Man's Shoes, once all of this mess is over and done with, we'll have to do a Cage Cast on tour because they do a Dead Man's Shoes drinking tour of Matlock.
Really?
Yeah, so they go to all of the pubs, so you can do a pub crawl in Matlock of all the Dead Man's Shoes pubs.
Oh, yes.
No way.
So we'll have to do that. And it's not far. It's only like, 30, 40 odd miles away, if that. So yeah, we'll have to have a dirty weekend in Matlock.
Is this when we take my camper van on? We do like, at the end of Alpha Papa when they do the radio show on like in the we just do it for the camper van.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Does this mean it's technically camping though?
What do you mean?
And if we find a field to camp in, then I suppose it would be.
Because then we could then the marshmallows on a fire could actually be fireplace.
Content.
That's it. And one last film on the list. You're never going to guess this one. Stu, it's a Marvel film, but not part of the MCU.
How old?
2005, I think it was.
Starring...
I don't know if Thomas Jane was in this, but Thomas Jane has played this character.
Warzone?
Yes.
Yeah,
Punisher Warzone.
yeah.
Great film. That's the closest to actually seeing a comic book on screen. It's Ray Stevenson plays this version of Frank Castle.
Yeah, I don't think he only played it in the first one, didn't he?
Yeah, I couldn't quite remember. So for Matt, I had two other guesses for you that I thought you were going to go for.
Go on.
Leon, I thought was going to be that was the outside bet was Leon. The number one choice I had down for you though was The Crow.
Yeah, I did think The Crow. I think I've crowed it up too much on this podcast so far. I think I need a break. I'm becoming a bit typecast. So like I'll have to not mention V for Vendetta for a while, and that's why like Forrest Gump hasn't made an answer for me in a while. So try and give a bit of variety. But Leon, is Leon a revenge film? It's a revenge film at the end, but I don't know. But I mean, Leon, God, that's got to be like if we ever do a question further down the line of the earliest 18 you ever saw, that would be Leon. Basically, like when you were like the youngest you've seen at 18, that's got to be up there.
Just trying to think what my first 18 was. I think it was RoboCop. It was either RoboCop or Child's Play.
RoboCop was mine as well. Well, it was the second one because I know what the first one was, and I was 7 years old when I watched The Fly.
Was The Fly in 18? Was it at the time?
Oh fucking! Have you seen it?
I've seen The Fly, yeah, but obviously
in the 80s
compared to now, like it's not. You know,
it was so bad that I had to sleep in my mum's bed for 3 months afterwards.
Oh
And bearing in mind, I was 7 years old. So, year 3 at primary school, and I watched
Now you contextualize it to like a school year. Now I actually understand why you just like
you watch that at that age, and then I watched RoboCop 6-7 months later again because everything was just on telly. Right? No one gave a fuck. They just put it on telly. So I watched RoboCop, and I remember being a bit like, but I was still freaked out by the fly. So when Mr. Kinney gets shot to death over the plans of the new Detroit, that was quite terrifying at the time. But yeah,
I was fine with RoboCop. It was RoboCop 2. There was something with some drug that always used to freak me out when they injected it into someone.
When they put it in the neck and it just disappeared.
Yeah. I can't quite remember what, like the whole stuff. I just remember being really freaked the fuck out by this one drug in it. And I don't know what it was, but it just never sat right with me.
And you get the Kane robot as well, where his teeth with his little clippers. When she runs her fingers over, he's like, "Oh, we can get used to this." And no, you can't. He's going to squish your head, and he does.
Awful. Yeah. Oh well. So next up, we've got a picture pod. We're going to be rounding off the comedic cage season by watching a film that IMDb describes as: after a personal visit from God himself, the eccentric construction worker Gary Faulkner takes the decision to embark on an adventure to the Badlands of Pakistan to bring Al-Qaeda's leader Osama bin Laden to justice. That's right, we're watching Army of One from 2016. I'd never heard of this film either. This is something that was brand new to me. So we'll see where we go. Have either of you two heard of this before it was announced on this pod?
No, I hadn't heard of it. I've just googled it. I'm not going to look any more into it because of what I've just seen. I need a clear head and a padded room.
Yeah, that's about right.
This is going to be the first film that I watched twice for this podcast. Because I watched it the other day and I couldn't believe what I'd seen, and I need to watch it again. It's on Amazon Prime. It's free. Everyone go and watch it in preparation for next week. It's a sight to behold.
It's certainly something, and yep, it is available on Amazon Prime. So if you've got any stories or thoughts about this film that you want to send our way, please make sure you do so. Drop us an email to cagefightingpod@gmail.com. You can also use that email address if you've got any reviews or you want to tell us about any films that we should be watching. Obviously, we've asked for today for some input on anime, so if you've got any anime, let us know. Also, make sure you got us followed on the Twitter @CageFightingPod. Whilst you're at it, because you're already listening to this podcast, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. And if we can just ask for 10 seconds of your time, please leave us a review. It helps with all the algorithms and means that other people may find us. Thanks again for your continued support. We really do genuinely appreciate you giving us an hour of your week every time. It's great. Thank you. So for this week, Matt, would you like to say goodbye?
Take it easy, guys. Look after yourselves.
Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, I mean, but if people want to send voice clips as well that we can throw in, that'll be welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Send them MP3s. We can get them in here. That'd be fantastic. Good call, that is, Stu.
Yeah, so until next time, I can be your hero, baby. Ta-ra.
It's goodbye from me. And remember, be excellent to each other.